losing at home to the Dolphins. Yelling could be heard from outside of their locker room. According to ESPN Bears reporter Michael C. Wright, Brandon Marshall called out quarterback Jay Cutler. Cutler completed 21 of 34 passes for 190 yards with 1 touchdown, 1 pick, and 1 fumble. A very frustrated Marshall.
We lost. There should be a lot of frustration. What are you talking about? What else you want me to answer? How you want me to answer?
We heard frustration from outside.
You should hear frustration. We're 3-4. There's a lot of guys. This means a lot too. We're 3-4. We need to play better. That's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. Unacceptable. Shouldn't have lost today. Shouldn't be 3-4. Offense got to play better. It's as simple as that. And this is unacceptable. What did we put up? 14 points? Was it 14 points? That's unacceptable.
Again, Bears reporter Michael C. Wright saying he specifically called out Jay Cutler. In the sound that we heard there, he's frustrated with the offense. What do you make of him changing his tune? You've been on the show quoted as saying he always has his pom-poms out for Cutler, and that's been your biggest issue with him. What do you make of him addressing this?
Well, first of all, I don't know, and I'd like to hear from Brandon Marshall if he was specifically calling out Jay Cutler. In fairness to him, he's a friend of the show. We know him, and he's not shy about expressing his opinion. But I would like to say this. If he did call out Jay Cutler, bravo.
But that was what our reporter reported.
I'm just saying,
He said he just wants to hear what
I'm saying. I just want to hear it. I'm not refuting what the reporter is saying. I'm just talking about sometimes context is needed in a certain sense. You know, you hear screaming through the door. That doesn't mean that that moment in time you was talking to Jay Cutler. You sit there and say, well, it's unacceptable. Yeah, it's unacceptable. But was he talking about Jay Cutler or Jay Cutler plus the entire team? I'm not saying that the reporter was wrong in any way. I'm simply saying that I need context in which Brandon Marshall was saying what he was saying. But if he were to call out Jay Cutler, I'd have no problem with it. I can tell you that much. The Chicago Bears are winless at home this year. They lost to Buffalo in the season opener in overtime. They lost to that bad man Aaron Rodgers, and the Green Bay Packers. And now they lost to Miami. And, of course, they lost earlier on the road to Carolina. They've got 4 losses already. In the 3 losses at home, Jay Cutler, in the 3 losses, rather, prior to yesterday, Jay Cutler has thrown at least 2 interceptions. Yesterday, rather, an interception and a fumble. This is Jay Cutler. What did I tell you before the season? So I picked him to go to the playoffs. I told you this man is Tony, the old Tony Romo. Tony Romo is West.
The old Tony Romo.
This season. Well, I'm fair. I'm a fair-minded brother. The fact is Tony Romo is playing better thus far this year.
So at age 34, Romo just flipped the script, right?
Well, they have a running game now. They're using their running game because they always had a running game. See, I like how you just omit certain stuff. Like when DeMarco Murray was on the show last year, I sat there and said, yo, they need to give you the ball more. They wouldn't have these problems. I love how you ignore those factual tidbits that I thought that. Of course you don't. Selective amnesia. It's all right. But back to Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler is, I couldn't call him pathetic. He's too talented for that.
Yeah.
He can play. But Jay Cutler, something's missing with this brother. Jay Cutler, he just doesn't have it. He's got the arm, he's got the athleticism, he's got the toughness, he's got the abilities, but something is missing with this brother. I do not want him as the franchise quarterback for my team. It is that simple. And he continues to display why. Now, obviously, McClellan coming back on the defensive side of the ball after being out for a month with his hand injury. He slips, gives up a 13-yard touchdown pass to the tight end. And then on top of it all, they attacked his side when I think it was Tannehill when he ran for 30 yards on them. I mean, this dude was a liability on the defensive side of the ball. But Trestman's entire defense has been a liability. And as far as I'm concerned, the Chicago Bears have sold their soul by going from defense being a signature defensive franchise to going to offense. But when we talk about Brandon Marshall and what he had to say, he is absolutely right in what he is saying. It is unacceptable. Alshon Jeffrey, 2 receptions for 9 yards. Have y'all seen this brother play? Alshon Jeffrey can play. 2 receptions for 9 yards. Matt Forte, 49 yards rushing on 12 carries. Last time I checked, that's 4 yards a carry. Give the man the ball more. Run the football more. Imitate Dallas's scheme. Run the football effectively. Take the ball out of Jay Cutler's hands. Protect him from himself. But Trestman won't do that. And as a result, Jay Cutler makes mistakes. And as a result of that, the Chicago Bears are the old Dallas Cowboys Midwest.
So are you ready to call out our friend Brandon Marshall for all of his cheerleading for Jay Cutler?
I've been doing that all year,
Right.
and since he arrived in Chicago. I've always said my only issue with Brandon Marshall is that he's got on those Jay Cutler pom-poms. He constantly cheers for him. So this is not the moment to call him out, because if indeed the report is true and we have no reason to question whether it is or not, I applaud Brandon Marshall for calling out Jay Cutler, because Jay Cutler deserves to be talked about, because I don't know if he is fit to be a representative, the representative for the Windy City. This is a great sports town. Bunch of rough riders. They're rough and tough, and they handle duress. And Jay Cutler, to me, looks like a dude just a tad bit away from depression and being on Prozac, for crying out loud. There's nothing enthusiastic that oozes from him. There's nothing about him that galvanizes troops, that makes you say, let's go out there for Jay Cutler. Please. Nobody feels that way about him.
Okay, before I answer the question, on balance, the defense is now ranked 22nd in the National Football League in points allowed. So the offense feels excess pressure to try to make up for what's become just a bad defense. And you're right, the script has flipped in Chicago, because they went from Lovey's all defense to Trestman's all offense. Not healthy. Yeah, they did. Okay, now back to Jay Cutler. You can look this up, because it's still on record. Just go to my archive on ESPN.com, because after what was called by many Jay Cutler's signature win at San Francisco in week 2 this year, you remember the Sunday night game?
Yep.
In which he threw, what was it, 4 second-half touchdowns, all of them from about 2 yards away, but that's okay. 4 second-half touchdowns. Remember the big comeback win?
28-20.
Signature win for Jay Cutler. And right off that, I came back with a column saying, not buying it, done with Jay Cutler. I love his school because I went to his school. I don't love Jay Cutler any longer, because I was done with him off the opening loss at home to Buffalo. Unacceptable, to quote Brandon Marshall. And it really shook me up and made me sick at my stomach, because I used to love Jay Cutler. His reaction after the game yesterday when he spoke to the press was simply, hey, we all wanted that game.
Yeah.
You really wanted that game? I don't see any spark. I don't see any fire. I don't see any appropriate anger from him, except when somebody runs a wrong route or somebody misses a block that leads to a sack. Then I see appropriate anger from him, because it's directed as a teammate.
That's right.
But after a loss, and now he's got his money, because he just got his new big...
Which is a travesty.
Okay, well, he's got it. He's got the wife. He's got the 2 kids. He's just shrugging, saying, hey, we all wanted that game. Oh, really? I'm blown away by that, Jay. You convinced me you really wanted that game. I don't think he did really, really, really want that game the way Brandon Marshall
Let me tell you something right now. If you're the city of Chicago, today you're applauding Brandon Marshall.
Of course.
You want that guy on your team because he's upset at a loss like this. Jay Cutler's chilling. Jay Cutler's going, when I see him, I don't see a winner. I don't see it. Now, obviously, that's fact-based, because he's only got 1 playoff victory on his resume in 9 years as a quarterback, okay? But the bottom line is...
He's only played in 2, right?
Listen, he's only played in 2.
Yeah.
Listen, the dude, 2 or 3. The dude, I don't see anything close to a winner. I can't believe they gave him this money. I can't believe he's the franchise quarterback. And by the way, I'm not saying he can't play. I'm saying that, you know what? With Jay Cutler, it just seems to me he's that dude. Skip, you were absolutely on the money. Let him get sacked. Let somebody miss a block that leads to him getting sacked, or make a mistake that makes him look bad. Yeah. He's all over them. Right. But in terms of the team, all right, man, I did my job. Yeah. Now I'm going home. That's what I see in Jay Cutler, Chicago.
He played 3 clean games, all on the road, and they won all 3.
Yeah, 1 turnover.
Yeah. Well, 1 fumble, but he didn't throw any interceptions in the 3 wins. And then in the 4, 9 turnovers, really, in 4 losses. It's ugly. His QBR yesterday was the lowest of this year, but 19.3. It's just ugly.
I don't believe in him. I never have. I never have.
Chicago, very proud sports town.
They need a better quarterback.
4 straight home losses. Longest losing streak for the Bears at home overall since 2002.